All right, hello, wonderful friends. Today, thank you so very much for tuning in. Welcome to Global Impact on TECNTV.com. I'm David McQuell, your host. Again, today we have another exciting week and we have a lot to learn. We are going to be building upon what we did last week. We're talking about towards building a prosperous society. And one of the things that we touched briefly was about trade work, trade school, trade skills, however I put it. But it's talking about the non-conventional education, kind of the traditional, go to school, get a degree, get a master's degree, a PhD or so, and so you can have a better future. And if you cannot go to college, if you cannot get a degree, you can get a master's degree, then you are considered a failure. And so many parents intimidated their children, make them feel like they are losers for that. But we're going to look at it again, and we're going to look at, thank God for some video clips that we'll be having that will, drive the message for us home, bring us to that understanding of what we are talking about. Welcome to the show tonight. I'm really glad, I'm happy to have you here tonight. Welcome. God bless you. I'll be back. Okay, so welcome. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Today again, we have another great, exciting period to really enjoy and have some great show here today. As we look at, this subject squarely and appreciate what we have, in as an opportunity for us today, as the opportunity to succeed in life, to make progress in your life. Again, like we said last time, we as Christians must live productive lives. Bible talks about productive lives. Paul even said to Timothy, he said, let him that steal no more, but let him work with his hands and earn a living for himself, so he can have enough for himself, for his family, and even have enough. I'm just paraphrasing. So he can have enough to also be a blessing to other people around him, to the kingdom of God, of course. And so God expects us to be productive. It is the best way to live our lives as Christians. So many people think that we can substitute the work with prayer. But actually, Jesus never said that. There is a time to pray, but there is a time to work. There is a time for everything. And so it's absolutely important for us to, enjoy and work hard and make life a better place, not just for us, not just for our children, but for society. Because in many times, in realizing your dream, what happens? You create opportunities for others. Big example is Joseph in the Bible. The Lord showed him, Joseph in a dream, that his brothers were going to bow down to him. Actually, what God was talking about was, he was talking about lifting Joseph up to a place of leadership, bringing him to a place where he was going to be a leader. And but Joseph didn't know how that was going to happen. In fact, his situation went from bad to worse. From hatred by his siblings, his brothers and sisters, and then right down to being sold. In fact, almost got killed, Then God almost got killed, then sold to strangers who went and sold him in Egypt. and and then he was accused falsely of what he didn't do. But in all these things, God had his hand on Joseph. God had a plan for Joseph. Finally, when the day came, and how Joseph was going to get to his place was by interpreting the dream of Pharaoh. And as he interpreted the dream of Pharaoh, it became an amazing, not just an amazing thing for his life. It didn't just set him free, but then he also was able to express wisdom on how Pharaoh was going to approach the interpretation of the dream. And eventually Joseph, became the prime minister of Egypt that very day. Immediate appointment, he became the prime minister of Egypt, and he was the governor of the whole of Egypt and all the surrounding colonies that were colonized by Egypt. It is incredible to see. In doing that, what happened? Joseph told Pharaoh, he said, this is what we're going to do. You're going to say, there's going to be abundance in the next 7 years like you've never seen before. We're going to be buying a fifth, that's 20% of everyone's harvest, and storing it up in great storehouses. We're going to build warehouses. So can you imagine the dream created jobs, warehouses, created storage and officers and people who would work in all things. And eventually Joseph became an industry himself. Prospered Egypt, brought great prosperity upon the whole of Egypt. So you can imagine if all of us are going to realize our dreams, and our dreams are going to be as big as Joseph, then definitely whatever nation you are in, you will be a great industry. You yourself alone will be an industry. You'll be a great thing. And it is incredible what God can do through you in that moment, in that manifestation of your dream. It's incredible what God can do. It's incredible how far you're going to go when your dream becomes a reality, because you can become a big stuff. And as I said this, I remember what Jesus taught the disciples when he was teaching on the parables, and he talked about the parable of the mustard seed. And he said the mustard seed, though it's the smallest of all seeds, but when it's cultivated, when it's planted and it grows, and it's cultivated, he said it becomes the largest tree in the forest. Becomes the largest tree in the forest, so big that birds of the air and beasts of the field will come and find security and comfort under its shade. And he was telling us how God's kingdom works. That when every one of us realizes his dream, when everyone comes into the fullness of the destiny of God for his life, he becomes a big industry. He affects people's lives very positively. He creates opportunities for others. And that is really a great lesson. Now, so that will not happen when you are easily just working carelessly with your life. When you don't take your life very seriously, and when you don't understand how God wants to make you a blessing, then, and I see a lot of that in many Christians. I'm sure you've seen it, where everybody is just bothered about his life. My life, I need to get this done, I need to get this done, and everything that you think about is my life. I haven't done this, I will do that, I will do this, I will do this. And we never think about how we can be a blessing to people, how what we are doing can explode and become a great blessing. So it's absolutely important for us to see that. So we're going to take a quick short break, and when we return, we'll start with a video from PragerU, one of the videos that I've shown before on this show, and we keep showing it because it's really incredible. I'll be right back.
Hello everyone, this is Global Impact with David Mackwell, your host. Isaiah chapter 2 verses 1 to 5 says that a time is coming when the church will rise in authority and influence and dominate the earth. And many nations will come and say, "Teach us the ways of the Lord." Global Impact is a show that inspires you as a Christian to rise up through the values of the kingdom of God and shine as light wherever you may be. We believe that missions is no longer limited to some isolated, unreached community in some dark continent. The church should reach out to all aspects of life, including politics, business, science and research, the media and diplomacy, and every aspect of human life. Join us on Global Impact, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. GMT. Global Impact is broadcast on TECNTV.com. Join us.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
Welcome back to the show. David McQuail here, the host of Global Impact tonight on TECNTV.com. It is incredible. I remember years ago when we were in the mission field back in the Ivory Coast. Then, that was 1996. Yeah, 1996. And one day we were just going for a fellowship, and we had a keyboard. And I was a keyboardist then in the fellowship. So I carried the keyboard home for my rehearsals, and we were going back to church to fellowship. So I had to carry the keyboard because I was going to play it. So when we are going and we made to, by the roadside, we were waiting for a car, and then we saw this guy with this coiled hair, and then he started asking, he heard us speaking English. Oh, he said, "Oh, you guys speak English?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, right. I like to learn the keyboard. I like to learn play the piano." I said, oh, that's nice. That's easy. It's not really hard to learn. And so he said, well, I wish that I know where you guys are, but my place is not far from here. And we said, wow, okay. Hey, we still have some little time, so let's go and see. Went to his place, and the guy had this beautiful, he was a hairdresser, he could do anything with a woman's hair. He could braid, he could do all the African styles, all the black woman's hair. He can actually really braid, and do everything. He is an accomplished hairdresser. He told us how back in the United States he went to university. His parents insisted that he would study medicine because he was good in science. Not only that, because it was going to keep the pride of the family. However, his interest was hairdressing. So after a lot of pressure, he enrolled, got admission to university to do science, And along the way, he wasn't comfortable with doing science, and every time his mind was just on how he could learn how to do the hair, and he believed that he can actually make a good, decent living with that. Well, unknown to the family, he went and switched his course. He began to do hairdressing. After about 2.5 years, he was graduating. And everybody said, wow, how comes graduating? What do you mean by graduating? It takes a long time to do science and get to medicine. He said, no, that he dropped it. He can't just do it. So everyone was shocked in the family. Everyone was so upset. They felt that he was like a stain in the family. Everybody is going to college, becoming a graduate, and he was going to be a great person. And he is a hairdresser. What a shame, what a disgrace. Well, it wasn't long after their dad died, and they were actually immigrants from Nigeria, and according to the tradition that they kept, when their dad died, he said he wanted them to bury him back in his village back in Nigeria. So they took his corpse from the US, everybody, the whole family together traveled home. And then, of course, the normal ceremonies and parties, and the dad was buried. After the days of mourning were over, they began to plan going back to the States. Because they stayed for quite a long time, I think about 2 months plus. He had made friends back home. When he left Nigeria, he was just 2 years old. He was the youngest of the family. Now he was back, so he made new friends and cousins and relatives, made friends. So the family sat together and said, this boy his name is Jay. Jay has embarrassed us. He has disgraced us. I mean, what a shame. I think the best thing we could do is leave him in Nigeria and go back to the States. So they decided that's what they were going to do. So I think, I don't know, but probably the intention was to punish him for a while before he comes back later. So they took his passport, his US passport, his documents away and left with it. And they all left. Wow. When he found out they left him, he was shocked. Well, so he began to, of course, when he was coming from the States, he came with all his tools, all his equipment, his hairdressing tools. And so he just said, well, so I'm going to raise money so I can go back. Since they didn't leave me with any money and they went with my passport, I'll see how we'll sort it out. So he began a hairdressing salon. He actually began a hairdressing salon. First of all, he traveled to the north, to Yola, began a hairdressing salon, did really remarkably well. I mean, you can imagine. And then someone said, oh, after a while he was bored, I think for a year or two, and said, no, he's going back to Lagos. Went back to Lagos, started another salon. He did extremely well. He was making, I mean, every woman wants Jay to do her hair. And he made so much money, then someone told him, hey, Côte d'Ivoire is really a beautiful place. It's a French country, you can learn French, but it's a really nice, cool place. You make a lot of money. So he left Lagos, came over to the Ivory Coast and installed himself. And it was incredible. At the time we came, I mean, most of the staff of the U.S. Embassy, of the French Embassy and other places, I mean, whites were coming to him to cut their hair. He was really good and he knew how to, cut the white man's hair. Apart from that, women were running after him. Jay would work so much that he will be working 24 hours. He didn't have time. He tried to employ other help, employ many people who can work with him. I mean, but everyone who comes wants Jay, especially the women. I want Jay. I don't want nobody. I want Jay to do my hair. And that's how it was, I mean, he was making incredible money. I don't believe that medical doctors in Ivory Coast were making as much money as Jay was making. He was making a lot of, he has to actually run out, sneak out to go and sleep somewhere. Otherwise, he will be working 24 hours. That was incredible. That's great, So he made a good, decent living. He was earning a lot of money, but that's his area. That's what he loved to do. That's what he loved to do. So I said this to bring to us the point that it is absolutely important for us, if we understand how important it is that you follow what works for you. You don't have to go to college. There are actually great skill handwork that you can do and aid an amazing life, and have everything that you need. Raise your great family and take care of yourself and be happy, and that's what's really important. That's really what's important. So right back after this break. We're going to go straight into this video, no break. I'm going to go into this video and it's just 5 minutes, 4 seconds. Watched it before, but it's beautiful. The title of this video is does college equal success? We're going to see that.
Maybe the dumbest thing you can do is go to the place that's supposed to make you smart. That would be college. Now, perhaps I'm biased. I don't have a college degree, although I employ a lot of people who do, and from some of the most prestigious universities in the country. I made a conscious choice. I had clear career ambitions, and I didn't see how a college degree was going to get me there. In retrospect, I'm confident I made the right decision. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of a company called The Daily Wire. We publish news and commentary from a conservative point of view. We have well over 100 employees and an audience which numbers in the millions every single day. Now, I don't have a problem if you go to college. It's a free country, do what you want. But the idea that somehow college is the great pathway to success and fulfillment, that I don't buy. The left takes a different view. They are obsessed with higher education. To them, it's a human right, and they want it to be free, which just means paid for by people like me, for anyone who's 18 and can breathe. That makes perfect sense from their point of view. One, the idea is a big winner among young people, a critical voting bloc. Who doesn't want something for nothing, especially something that costs more than a Ferrari? And two, colleges exist to do one thing: create conformity of thought. And since college professors and administrators overwhelmingly lean left, it's a pretty good bet most of their students will as well. But I'm being unfair, you say. After all, we live in a knowledge-based world, and America isn't making the grade. Don't you know we rank 13th in the world in reading, 18th in science literacy, and a pitiful 37th in math? To which I say, so what? It wasn't Singapore that split the atom, or Estonia that mapped the human genome. America is number one in Nobel Prizes awarded, number one in scientific citations issued, number one in popular entertainment, and number one in technological advancement. In short, America creates almost everything. Even what other countries manufacture was probably invented by an American, which is why we're also the number one economy in the world by far. And who made this possible? Well, here are the names of just a few of the individuals who pretty much invented the modern world: Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, and Larry Ellison. None of them has a college degree. Many of the CEOs who run the companies they created do have college degrees, but the founders do not. What they do have are things colleges can't teach you: curiosity, ambition, and a willingness to fail. Those qualities almost guarantee success. A college diploma doesn't. Want to build an airplane? Engineers educated in aerodynamics are handy to have on your team. Want to invent the airplane? Well, you're better off finding a couple of restless bicycle repairmen. That's what the Wright brothers were. It's not that colleges aren't teaching. It's that too often they're teaching the wrong things, or they're teaching the right things the wrong way. Tech entrepreneur David Gelernter says, "The thing I don't look for in a developer is a degree in computer science." Quite a statement from a man who teaches computer science at Yale. Tech billionaire and co-founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel, actually pays people not to go to college. Thiel and Gelernter understand that colleges are factories, and like all factories, they want to produce a consistent product. That means producing people who all think alike. But innovation and entrepreneurship require people who think differently. Innovators innovate. Colleges teach those innovations after the fact. If professors could have taught engineers how to build the airplane in 1903, professors would have built the airplane before 1903. They would have invented the personal computer, Microsoft, and social media too. And it's not only big tech where this applies. 56% of all small business owners in the United States don't have a 4-year degree. That's right, the majority of small business owners, who employ more than half of American workers, either never went to or never finished college. What all of this says to me is that while college is useful for some people, it's by no means necessary for all. And it's hardly essential for economic success, not for the individual and not for the nation. No one is being deprived of the opportunity to succeed simply because they can't afford a university's steep price tag. In fact, if you go to college, there's a good chance you'll be taught how not to succeed. If I were you, I'd think long and hard before paying for that. I'm Jeremy Boring for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
Thank you, Jeremy. Awesome. Thank you, PragerU, and thank you all those that donate to PragerU to make these videos available. It's incredible education, incredible knowledge. It is true. It is amazing. And that we have been conditioned to think that unless you go to university and get a degree, you are not going to go anywhere in life. The reason is because the only thing that we think about is getting a job, not creating a job. Why don't we think about creating jobs instead of getting a job? Why don't we think about starting a business? I love what he said, that 56% of small business owners in the United States, that's people who employ more than half of all the workers in the United States, either didn't go to college or didn't finish. Isn't that stunning? That's why the United States is such a successful country, such a prosperous country. Because people who are making the country prosper, most of them didn't go to college. So why is it, for example, that we in Africa, believe that if you don't go to college, you don't go to a university and get a degree, you will not succeed. Even though we see the facts around us that millions of young people graduate from universities and they don't have a job, or they are struggling in life, and many of them struggle all their lives. In fact, after a year, 2 or 3, they forget that they have a college degree, a university degree. So, but yet people still believe that that's the way to go. But I don't think that's the way to go. I'll be right back after this break, and then we will go further and look into what we have heard.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Ken McClinton, the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live for the nation's capital. I love this cat, the Exceptional Conservative Show cat, Jacob. We love you, and we want you to know we love the fact that you watch TECNTV.com. As chairman, founder, and president, we wish you much love and much affection. I love you. I love you.
Hey, this is Pastor Greg right here watching TECNTV.com live and enjoying. You should join me here on ChildrenGenerationRadio.com, and also my other favorite thing, ministering the gospel in India.
Hi, I'm Bob Record, and as you can see, I love hunting. And I also love watching TECNTV.com. Why don't you join me in doing that? But in the meantime, I'm headed back to the field. See you later.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Jones from Beyond the Lines. And when I'm not exploring Los Angeles, I am watching TECNTV.com. TECNTV.com. I love it.
I'm David McQuell. I'm the host of Global Impact on TECN. I'm a missionary in Abidjan, West Africa, working on establishing the largest history center. Whether I'm in the field or I'm working on history, I love TECN TV.
When I'm not making delicious cookies, I'm watching TECNTV.com.
Hi, I'm Randy. I love the golf.
And I love TECNTV.com.
David McQuell on
Global
Impact at TC. Oh my word! On Global Impact at TECN with David McQuell on Global Impact TECNTV.com.
Yeah.
And with David McQuell on Global Impact at TECNTV.com.
TECNTV.com.
What happened to the church? To the living, powerful, transformative, nation-shaking Christianity?
What they're trying to do is completely demolish Western civilization and then to rebuild it in a just society.
How do you break down American Christianity?
I think the problem today in our culture is many of our words have been co-opted and stolen and dumbed down and reversed.
Social justice is sold as something that it isn't. Critical race theory is sold as something that it isn't.
Whiteness has caused blindness of heart. Whiteness has caused blindness of heart.
When you preach victimization, it always leads to vengeance and vice. Us against them, me against you. I want my pound of flesh.
American churches today are where the universities were 10 years ago. Pretty heavily Marxist. They're not quite there yet, but they're well on the way. Many of the seminaries and Bible colleges are definitely already there.
That message that they're going out and taking the world is not, you need to repent of your sin, receive Christ. Instead, the message that you actually have is they are under the weight of racism or sexism or homophobia, and then we need to unify them together.
I'm gay, I'm 29, I'm a youth pastor in New Jersey.
I'm straight, and I'm also a youth pastor in New Jersey.
We're planning on sharing life together for the rest of our lives, which we're not totally sure what that looks like. Obviously, Nick is straight, and he does plan on getting married. When he has a wife one day, she'll make those decisions with us.
The future damage of what we're doing now is just going to be enormous.
The entire fabric of family, personal wealth, private property, all those things are out the door. And everything is the state. They believe the state is God.
They don't define justice the same way as the scripture.
Oh, no. It's going to be an equality, all right. And it's going to be a totalitarian Marxist justice.
All right, so welcome back to the show. We had great, great teaching, or rather, will you say a talk? This is a talk, not a teaching, on by Jeremy Boring, the co-founder of Daily Wire, and he was sharing with us why going to college is not necessarily a ticket to success. He is not against going to college. He said everyone should consider if that is the way you want to go. Before you go, in fact, he laid down his facts that he never went to college. He had the option one day to check and see which way he should go in his life. Was he going to university that was going to profit him, or not going to university? And in his own understanding, he didn't need to go to university, And of course, he's happy that it worked out for him well, because today he actually employs, he's very successful, the co-founder of Daily Wire, and he employs so many, hundreds of thousands, thousands of college graduates, people that are more educated than him, if you want to call it, more formal education, have more formal education than him, working for him. He's employing them and paying them, even though he didn't go to college. The point here is that you don't have to go to university to succeed. And if you go to university, don't kid yourself that going to university is the path to wealth, that you will automatically do very well. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Rather, there are lots of things that are really important. He talked about, gave an example of the people who actually have built modern America. He said that if you tell him that going to university is a free ticket that you're going to succeed, he will tell you that it's a big lie. You will not buy it, And he gave an example with people who have built modern America. People like Bill Gates, people like Elon Musk, people like the founders of Twitter, of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and so many other people who are very wealthy, people who actually do very well, very, very wealthy, if not the wealthiest people in the world. And they didn't go to college, or they dropped out from college, they didn't wait to finish. Why is it that these people consider that there was something greater than going to college? And yet, we are seeing that they have not regretted their lives. Rather, all those who are going to college are studying about them, learning about them, trying to understand them, And I'm not talking about some people that have lived centuries ago. I'm talking about people who are still alive. Yet today, people are studying Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg in schools. Give you assignments on Facebook and on Twitter and all these things and on Google. Why? Because there's something about these people that you know, probably we don't understand. We need to understand, why would they abandon college? Why would they let go of college? Why would they, in the university, let go of their university education and rather would prefer to go in life without it? It talks about innovation. Innovation does not need a college degree. And again, I want to say that it's good to you go to school, get enlightened, but don't deceive yourself that going to university is the path to wealth, that you're going to be wealthy because you went to university, that you're going to be great because you graduated from university. It's not going to work like that. It doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't work like that. And I said, many people, you know, when I graduated from the Polytechnic, that's 1990, so which is 32 years ago, I think so, 32 years ago. I never even went back there to take my certificate. Never went back to take my results. Never. I've never gone back. Didn't just have the time. I've been busy with my life, doing the things that I should do best. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and take your own. I'm simply saying, what is the path that works for you? What's the path that works for you? What's going on for you? You know, and how are you going to succeed? If you are confident that going to university is going to make it work for you, then go ahead. You know, go ahead. But if you believe that something else, could be teaching, could be business, trade, could be farming, you know, it could be transportation, it could be anything that, you know, your heart goes for, you know, your heart goes for, that you know is what is your passion, what's your drive, what you want to do. People have quit university and gone for comedy. People have graduated from university and quit it and gone into acting. People have gone to universities, graduated or quit halfway and gone into all kinds of things, building websites, you know, building blogs, fashion designing, and they are making incredible success. They are making a successful life. Some of their colleagues, some of their mates who are graduates are not doing nearly as half as they are doing. I remember my uncle in Jos, Nigeria, very wonderful man. He is probably one of the best artists. You know, he did fine arts in school, and he majored on painting and sculpture. So he was really good, even though later on in life, he's retired now. Later on, he went into printing and, you know, printing. But when he was in school, he was one of the best students. He was one of the best students. He told me his story. And a few of them were so good in college that while in ABU Zaria, while they were still studying, 6 months before they could graduate, there was so much competition on them. So much that the government, you know, in Nigeria, I think it's state government, employed them while they were still in school 6 months before they graduated. They were on the payroll. You can imagine. These guys were so good, they were so competitive. And the government came for them 6 months before they would graduate, and they were being paid salary while they were students. So just so nobody will come and pick them up. 3 of them. Well, so their colleagues graduated who were not so smart as they were, who were not so good as they were, graduated from school, and you know, some of them went for their national service and then came back and couldn't get a job for a long time, so they began to do something for themselves began to work, employ themselves, do a little job here and there. You know, 5 years later, there was practically no difference between those who were employed by the government and those who went on their own. But you know what, 10 years later, those who were not employed while they were in school, those who were not really good, went back there and learned the trade, learned how to work for themselves. And 10 years later from college, they were doing much, much better than my uncle and his colleagues who were the top of the class, who graduated at the top of the class and who were employed 6 months before they graduated from school. Those guys who were not doing too well came out, were gainfully self-employed. You know, they struggled at the beginning of it, but while they struggled, they kept learning, they kept learning, they kept learning, and they improved so much that 10 years later, they were doing better than my uncle. And I tell you, you just look at retirement. And when you look at retirement, oh, those their colleagues were far better, wealthier. They were still waiting for government promotion, government money. And sometimes there were delays in payment. Sometimes they work for 2 months, 3 months before the government pays them, because when a new government comes into place, an efficient government comes into place, they are happy, they do well. When a ridiculous government, an mediocre government comes into place, they suffer. It affects them. Promotion and benefits and salary increment and promotion, all these things slows down. Corruption comes in, and people were promoted based on who you know rather than based on merit. And my uncle said, oh, I wish that I had turned down the offer. When he was employed while he was in college, 6 months before he graduated, he said if he had known what he knows now, he would have turned down the offer and told the government he was not interested. Because those guys went ahead and did very well in life. That's a great lesson. And that's what we hear, you know, from Jeremy here, talking about that. Why would Bill Gates drop out of school if he doesn't have anything better? Why would Mark Zuckerberg drop out from university if he didn't have anything better? It is because he had something better. Right? So these guys, and he said the difference between those who wait for opportunities and those who take things into their hands. And those people who drop out of school, he said they have 3 qualities which are really very important: curiosity, ambition, and a willingness to fail. That means risk-taking. They have this, others don't have it. And in taking that, in doing that, they ended up really doing an incredible job in their lives, succeeding, making progress, and excelling. And broke out into some great wealth and turned out to become a great blessing. And Microsoft wouldn't have, Bill Gates never imagined that Microsoft will turn out to become a worldwide product. And I was in Washington, 2020, went to the Microsoft campus. It's incredible. It has the largest parking lot in the world. The largest underground parking lot. 6,400 cars can park in the underground parking lot. Wow. And all that began with 2 college students who dropped out of school, and they believed in themselves. They were curious, they had ambition, and they were willing to fail trying to realize that. And if you have those values, if you work them and pursue them, you will fail, but you will rise up and go on. You may fail twice, but you will rise up and go on. You may fail 5 times, but you will rise up and go on, and eventually, you know what? You're going to succeed big time. You're going to make progress. You're going to succeed. You're going to, you're going to make something really great for yourself. It's absolutely important for us to understand this. When we understand this, then we understand what is really vitally important in life. You don't have to go to college if you don't feel that that's the path that God has chosen for you. And even if you go to university and graduate, you need to look inward and see, must I work for a job? Must I do the thing that I studied? Or do I have other things that, really are more appealing to me, more draw out the strength in me? When we do that, then we will rise up. We have many examples with people who build the cars, people who build aeroplanes. All these people were not people who went to college. And he says also, if university knowledge was what you needed to build an aircraft, the professors who were teaching in universities would have built an aircraft long before the Wright brothers did it. So apparently, if they have that, he gave an example of Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, and he talks about how he pays people not to go to college. Wow, why? Because they can succeed without going to college. It is really, really, really important for us to understand that. What we're saying is that We're not saying that you shouldn't go to college. We're saying that don't look at it as if that's the card, that's the assurance, the guarantee, the title deed of success just because you go to university. I have seen people who go to university and came out and they are worse than high school graduates. Some of the high school graduates are really creative and industrious, and they will succeed in life better than graduates from the university. Be right back.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
Dreams are potential seeds. They need someone to believe in them. They need someone to finance them. And they need someone to embrace them. Partner today with the World Mission Center, Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, and help us win Africa for Christ.
Hi, I'm Pastor Greg, host of the Chosen Generation Radio Show, heard on the Truth Broadcasting Network and seen on TECNTV.com Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern, where I discuss today's most important issues through a biblical constitutional lens. TECNTV.com appreciates our partnership with NTD, and we'd love for you to give our great programming a view. That's TECNTV.com, Chosen Generation Radio with Pastor Greg. God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, welcome back to the show tonight. We are talking about dirty jobs. Dirty jobs. Jobs that, talking about jobs that, when you talk about dirty jobs, you're talking about jobs that are not what is called white-collar jobs. They're called, in the West, they're called blue-collar jobs. Jobs that will get you dirty. Jobs that you have to do them. You have to sweat, you have to go out there and, sometimes get your hands dirty. Most people prefer white-collar jobs where you get a good job, sit in a good office, and you just sit under the AC behind the computer and you earn some good money. But hey, listen, there are lots of good jobs, very, very good jobs, dirty jobs. When you say dirty jobs, getting your hands soiled, and these jobs can actually give you a good life, Jobs like plumbing, jobs like carpentry, jobs like, electrical engineering, building engineering, making stuff, creating stuff, inventing stuff, machinists, and all sorts of things. There are lots of great jobs, fine arts, sculpture, and so on and so forth. Teaching, these are absolutely great jobs, great opportunities. we actually don't have to wait until, you know, we can go to afford university. And so many people cry and mourn and say, I wish my dad could afford to send me to university. I wish my dad could afford to send me to university. I wish I had gone to university, I would have succeeded. But there are millions of people who have been to university and have never succeeded. Many years ago, we went out on evangelism, and I, you know, in a garden, and I saw a young man, and I went to him. I think he was probably in his late 30s, and I was just 21. And I sat down, and we began to talk, you know, exchange pleasantries, you know, said a few things. And then I said to him, I really want to talk to him about the Lord. Oh, he said, oh, all right. Yeah. So I talked to him about the Lord Jesus, you know. After we shared the gospel and I prayed with him, I began to ask him what he does. He said, oh, he is, he's looking for a job. I said, okay. He said that he graduated from the university 8 years ago, and he had a first-class degree. 8 years ago, he had a first-class degree and has not been able to get a job for 8 whole years. And I felt like slapping him. I mean, what do you mean? You're a graduate from university with a first-class degree, and for 8 years, you couldn't get a job, you couldn't do anything on your own? And at that time, he couldn't marry. How was he going to take care of his wife? He not only that, he was dependent on his uncle. You know, he said he eats at his uncle's place because he can't feed himself. And that was really ridiculous. That really sounded stupid. You know, why? Because what they teach you in university is, most universities, that, hey, you have a great degree, you can get a good job, you will be well paid, you will sit in some nice office, and all in your head is, I need a good job, I deserve a good job. Nobody deserves a good job. Nobody deserves a good job. What you deserve is what your labor will end for you. You know, so you don't have to sit down and wait and say, when I get my college degree, I'm going to get a job. It's not automatic, you know. So I was wondering, how does someone who had 8 years of, got a first-class degree, you know what it takes to get a first-class degree? You have to be excellent. You got a first-class degree, and for 8 years, 12 months times 8, if you can multiply that, he was sitting at home and expecting his uncle to feed him, graduate from university, in fact from the premier university in Cote d'Ivoire, and yet he had not gotten a job, and he couldn't create anything for himself. And I keep wondering, is that education? Because education gets you enlightened. That's the meaning. It's enlightenment. You get enlightened. You're able to gain knowledge that you can use to solve your problems. And how comes you can't do that? That's really incredibly sad. You know, I'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome. Thank you so very much for today. Thank you for tuning in and being our guests and being our viewers, guest viewers. We really appreciate you. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, or if you didn't, even if you didn't, we really love to hear from you. We want to hear what you think about our show, what you have to say. We really love to hear. When we hear that, it really blesses us. So our email is GIMPACT2018, GIMPACT, Impact, you know, it's Global Impact, GIMPACT2018, one word, at gmail.com. GIMPACT, GIMPACT2018 at gmail.com. We would really love to hear from you. God bless you so much. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you also for being the source of our encouragement every time that we know you are viewing us. God bless you. Thank you so much.